Greetings and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm your host, Dr. G, and I am so glad that you could keep our appointment. Now, tonight's guest is no stranger to most of you. I'm talking about author, historian, etymologist, Abdullah Talib Mosi Bey, who tonight will present from Moor to blackamoor to blackamoor to black. Abdullah Talib Mosi Bey is a graduate of Glassboro State College where he earned a BA degree in sociology. He also acquired a master's degree at Rutgers University Graduate School of Social Work. His greatest impact in the area of intersocial reform and birthrights consciousness, including literary contributions to the Humanitarian Cause, came about with his association and activities with the Moorish Order of the Roundtable. Years of study, writings, and participation among the Aboriginal and Indigenous Moors in this active civic order and school of learning has magnified Abdullah Bey's applicable understanding as to the negative social, political, and economic impacts that negative law has upon our people. This has exponentially broadened his social work knowledge. Brother Bey's accomplishments include owning and publishing the Moorish Civiletter in 1995 and Masonic Gate in 2013. Brother Bey served as editor-in-chief, columnist, and distributor for the Moroccan Star from 2001 to 2003. Through mentoring, diligent research, and study of positive law and history, his passion to assist with the political process of restoring treaty protection to the Moors ignited him to focus on etymology, the study and origin of words. Under the tutelage of the late Professor John Burton and Richard Bailey at Temple University, Abdullah studied etymology, basic and advanced grammar, Greek, vocabulary building skills, and poetry. Brother Bey is on the staff at Temple University Pan-African Studies Community Education Program, where he has taught etymology to hundreds of Moors for 18 years. Since June 2019, he has been a member of the Moorish Imperial Restoration Caucus, whose mission is to restore treaty protection to millions of Moors through the facilitation of the reestablishment of a Moorish national governmental structure, the reestablishment of diplomatic relations with European treaty nations, and the implementation of the international process of conversion to sovereignty by entering the international community of nations as an old and original state. Abdullah Bey is the author of numerous books, and we will talk about these during the course of this presentation. But without further ado, I want to present to some and introduce to others none other than our brother Abdullah Talib Mosi Bey. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. You know, I've been excited for about you reached out to me about 5 weeks ago.
I tell you what it was. I was at Key West and in Key West, Florida, at Key West, and I got received a link to an interview that you were doing on the same subject. And while I was there at Key West, I had the opportunity, because it was sort of like a couple days of relaxation, and I want to say at least on 2 days I listened to that interview, and I said I got to reach out to you and see if you would come on Office Hours with Dr. G and share that with our audience. And I'm glad. The first week we were supposed to do this on last week, but as things would happen, I had taken a trip to where did I go? I went to Arizona, and I came back with the hives. So I lost the fight with cactus, with a cactus pear, and I think it kind of gave me a little allergic reaction while I was there. But I'm glad that we were able to reschedule for this week, and just as excited, of this week to have you here to share what I think was just. I'm hoping that we can recapture the conversation that I heard that got me so excited and ignited.
Absolutely.
But without further ado, you're no stranger to the House of Reawakening Minds and to this broadcast. And so I don't know where we want to start, but you let me know how you want to, because this is for
Well,
me. I want to kind of listen, and I may interject a little bit here and there
absolutely, yes.
for something relevant to right now. But other than that, I want to hear, and I'm sure our viewers would love to hear the presentation that I listened to on the podcast with you.
They'll be able to see it as well. I have my PowerPoint presentation.
Awesome.
So they'll be able to see it as what you heard was just audio. So
Right.
this is they'll be able to see the actual sources.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right then. All right, and greetings to Brother Terrence in the background. I saw his head just pop in there for a minute. So
Please. He doesn't have his turban on.
It's okay. That's okay. Okay. So all right. So where do you want to get started? So
all right, we're gonna pull up the PowerPoint.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna
bring up the PowerPoint. Yes.
All righty.
All right. So this is my book, Moors and Masonry. And I've actually put out this book in December of 2016 after 20 years of study and research. And you see at the bottom, who are these imposters? You'll see these are three of the pictures are past imperial potentates of the ancient, past grand monarchs. You have of the mystic order of the veiled prophet of the chanted realm. With the Islam, you have another past grand monarch, the Abdullah Bey temple, and then you have the another grand past monarch that deals with the Morocco Muslim temple, and then you have here the ancient. You have a grand monarch. Yeah, Muslim. So we have the ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine with he's a past imperial potentate of the Morocco temple. So these are imposters. They're wearing our Moorish fezzes and also using our Moorish names. They have traded places with us. They are indeed imposters. So this is actually a history book. This, my book dealing with the science regarding the astronomy is my Masonic Compass Squared, and the connection to measurement of timekeeping. But this is a history book. This actually shows Moorish power during the 15, 16 to 1700s, during the time period of the claimed transatlantic slave trade. And so we'll definitely go more into that. So we have here the next slide. Yes. Oh, that's it. All right. So this is astronomy and geometry. This is astronomy and geometry, and this is my logo that is actually 12, 13 years old. So I wanted to actually tie people with the understanding that masonry is the knowledge of astronomy and geometry expressed through symbols, or what they call quote unquote symbols, with actually measurement tools and devices. So this is why you have the phi and the pi. All right, so we're looking at the next one. Terrence.
Just hit the slide.
Just hit the button. Arrow?
Yeah.
All right, yes. All right, my books, moorsandmasonry.org. My books are Moors and Masonry Part 1, Moors and Masonry Part 2, The Power of Moorish Treaties and the Recovery of Moorish Sovereignty, Masonic Compass Square, the Connection of Measurement and Timekeeping, How Her Venus and Moon Rule, and we'll get into that a little bit. Illuminati and Illumination of the Mind, Etymology and Vocabulary, Supplementary 1, and I have other books coming out next year. The Moroccan Post Media YouTube. Moroccan Post School for Government and International Law. These are Moorish Body Politic Formation, Constitution and Government Principle course, 12 classes. These are free classes on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. The Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations 101, 10 classes. And Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations 201, 5 classes. Once again, these are free classes. And then we have a 3-part seminar Do United States courts have the lawful treaty authority to hear Moorish cases? Part 1, 2, and 3. Go to the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. Once again, these are free classes. The upcoming Moorish Unity Conference, May 18th, 2024, in Philadelphia. Moorish Governance and Birthright Nationality Claim Conference. This is on being Philadelphia. We already have the location, and look out for the ticket prices and the flyer that has that information soon. From Moor to Blackmoor to blackamoor to black, the systematic burial. This is the subtopic: the systematic burial of the nationality, national identity of a people. And you're going to actually see that through these slides. The forgotten Moorish power and the burial of Moorish nationality, national identity. Moors and Masonry uncovers the forgotten Moorish power. And this has been well researched. These European scholars have researched this. Their classes are electives. They teach at prominent universities, but once again, their classes are electives. Their classes are not part of the mainstream history classes. Robert Davis, professor of Italian Renaissance history. All right. Robert Davis, professor of Italian Renaissance history, states the enslavement of Europeans doesn't fit the general theme of European world conquest and colonization, which is central to scholarship on the early modern era. Now, let's look at this. Now, what you'll see in Moors and Masonry, part 1, the names Moor and Moroccan, the names Moor and Morocco as the focal point in European kingdoms' politics, treaties, trading, commerce, diplomatic, and consular relations between the 700s and 1800s. So this claim that we don't know who the Moors are, that means you're not schooled in history then. You say you're a historian when you're looking at the focal point of the Kingdom of Sweden, Kingdom of England, the Dutch Republic, Portugal, the Spanish Crown, Aragon, Castile. You have Germany, Ireland, Belgium. The focal point of their politics, treaty relations, trading, commerce relations were the Moors and Morocco. This is the focal point. In my book, Moors and Masonry, Part 1, I have a list of treaties and excerpts of treaties, between Morocco and France, Morocco and England, Morocco and the Netherlands, Tunis in France, Tunis in England, Tunis in the Netherlands, Algiers in France, Algiers in England, Algiers in the Netherlands, Tunis in France, Tunis in Algiers. So these treaties that are trade and protection treaties. These European powers were reaching out to us because we were seizing their ships and actually capturing them by the tens of thousands. So
might I interject and ask you a question before you go any further? So, we know that Morocco gained its independence from France in 1956. So prior to 1956, who was empowered to make these treaties with England and those that came over here? How did that happen if they were being occupied or colonized themselves? That's until they gained this independence.
All right. So let's look at the evidence there. The evidence are the treaties. Treaties during the Moorish treaties between the 15, 16, and 1700s. That's the evidence. What are the issues that are addressed or solved in the treaties? Dealt with the issue of slavery, of our seizing them. So that was, so they're being released was through treaty, and the agreement would be, ransom payment. So let's look at what I encourage the listeners to do, though, is not make broad claims. First set the stage of Moorish power. If you're talking to your loved one, your friend, your co-workers, give them a nugget where you're aware that the Trinitarian was established in 1198 for the purpose of raising finance as a captivity order, ransoming a captivity order to raise finance to get to pay for the ransom to get the Europeans out of Moorish captivity. Just give them nuggets. And the records, the 600-year records of the Trinitarian, you'll see that. You got to give, meaning what I've conscious Moors, Dr. Naila, will make leaps in their claims, and they can't support it. They'll say, for instance, the slave trade never happened. They'll say like that. Once you do that, you already shut the listener down. You shut the listener down. You say, the slave trade never happened. You shut the listener down. Let me help y'all. Just use strategy. I gave you a nugget. Well, you're aware that the Trinitarian, and then we have the Mercedarian established in 1238 to raise money. Robert Davis, a professor of Italian Renaissance history, states, once again, the enslavement of Europeans doesn't fit the general theme of European world conquest and colonization, which is central to scholarship on the early modern era. That's the back cover of Moors and Masonry Part 1. And
so they wrote it out as if it did not occur.
Yes.
Or they change places and put us in that position of slavery.
Yes,
with them.
Yes, absolutely. And they enslaved us too. All right, but we enslaved them as well. The way when people hear the word slavery, the general public, that includes Albions, when Albions and Moors hear the word slavery, when there's a discussion, debate, argument on the word slavery, it's never this. Let me see that I need this. See, I need this. All right. You don't see this. You don't see this in any discussion of slavery. When African scholars talk about slavery, you don't see this. But these Europeans that I have in Moors and Masonry Part 1, they address this. This is a major issue. And later on, there's a conference that was in 2016, a Barbary captivity conference held by these Europeans. Robert Davis was one of the keynote speakers. I have that in the slides. Okay. This is a major issue for them. And I'm proving that with this 2016, even recently, that there's a 2000 international conference held on the issue of captivity narratives of Europeans held in captivity by us. So you have to give them nuggets. When you make these brushing, slavery never happened, for us, or slave trade never happened, we had Europeans in slavery. Well, give them facts then. Give them a nugget. So because you want to draw them in. You don't want to be viewed as a buffoon, an idiot, that you're foaming at the mouth and you can't support anything. So build them up to that. All right, next. I don't want to give them strategies. I'm also going to give strategies too on communication.
Were those modern Europeans that wrote White Cargo?
Yes, White Cargo. That's not Michael Hoffman. That is
Jordan, Michael Walsh.
Yes, Michael Walsh. I have that reference in Moors and Masonry Part 1. White Cargo, and also they were white. They were slaves. By Michael Hoffman. Yeah, they were white. They were slaves. All right. So absolutely. So we have here the enslavement of Europeans, evidence of Moorish power. Once again, this is a quote, Robert Davis. So I want y'all to see it. The enslavement of Europeans doesn't fit the general theme of European world conquest and colonization, which is central to scholarship in the early modern era. Robert Davis, professor of Italian Renaissance history at Ohio State University. Let's ponder on that. Once again, enslavement of Europeans equals Moorish power. Because who enslaved the Europeans? Like I said, this conference in 2016, the international conference, and you had 7 keynote speakers as well as 20 other speakers that spoke at these seminars in this international conference in 2016. And we were the subject as well, because they were addressing the captivity narratives that Europeans wrote while they were in Moorish captivity, and then those who actually were eventually was ransomed. This is a major issue. So why the cover up? Why? Well, because what? It doesn't fit the general theme of European world conquest and colonization.
Yeah, it changes everything.
Absolutely. So we have to present. So what I do, Dr. Naila, is present clear, solid evidence of Moorish power that's irrefutable. I have over 80 books referenced in Moors and dissertations and theses referenced in Moors and Masonry Part 1. I have treaties, I have letters. When Europeans see my book, I get respect from Europeans. When they see my book, this is what Europeans do. Let me see this to you. This is what Europeans do. They come to my table. They don't do this. They don't open the book up like this. Europeans open the book up like this. They go to this. They go to the back. They start with the back. Why? Why they starting with the back, y'all? Why they start with the back?
For your references and
thank you. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't see us do that though. I'm just saying. I'm not slighting us, but I can only state the facts. I can only state what I observe. I have never seen us, a conscious Moor, neither a conscious Moor or unconscious Moor, turn to the back of a book, my book, and start there. I've seen that with Europeans, and they highly impressed. They're just flipping through because they see what does that represent? What
research, scholarly research.
There you go. I'm not tooting my own horn. I don't care about that. I don't care about doing that. I'm just doing this as a strategy of presentation so that we can be more effective in talking to our loved ones, our co-workers, our friends. We need solid documentary evidence and a strategy that will build confidence. So I'm going to be talking about that as we continue. This is a strategy. This is a PowerPoint presentation which y'all can use. You can use this PowerPoint presentation because I have sources in them. All right, continue. Moorish enslavement of Europeans between the 15 and 1800s. Captives and corsairs. France and slavery in the early modern Mediterranean by Gillian Weiss. And Gillian Weiss was also at that 2016 Barbary International Conference. Weiss is an associate professor of history at Case Western Reserve University. This book uncovers a forgotten story in the history of relations between the Moroccan Empire, the Moors, and the European kingdoms. 3 centuries of Moorish corsairs raids of French ships and scores and French ships and shores, and the resulting captivity of tens of thousands of French subjects and citizens. Continuing, through an analysis of archival material, writings, and images produced by contemporaries, the book fundamentally revises our picture of France's emergence as a national and colonial power, presenting the Mediterranean as an essential vantage point for studying the rise of France. What I'm doing, Dr. Naila, I am answering your question, but I want to answer the question with documentation, all right, of our power. So, because we have to let people know that we were in power, and this is the cover up, so they can get across that transatlantic slave trade story. Because when the issue of slavery comes up, is the way they're presenting it is the first time we laid eyes on the Europeans They were in a superior position, right? They hold that concept. Or the African kings sold the Africans into slavery. Now, what is that image? That image is when we first laid eyes on the Europeans, we were bound in chains. See that? We got to change that with documentary evidence. And it reveals how efforts to liberate slaves from the Moors. This is Gillian's writing. I'm not writing this. Gillian's writing this. It reveals how efforts to liberate slaves from the Moors shaped France's perceptions of the Moors and Moorish power and their own. The banners. I can go to the next one then. This is continuing with Captives and Corsair by Gillian Weiss. From around 1550 to 1830, freeing these captives from the Moors evolved from an expression of charity. Talk about the redemption orders, all right, the Mediterranean and Trinitarian, and redemption captivity orders to a method of state building and eventually to a rationale for imperial expansion. Captives and Corsairs thus advances new arguments about the fluid nature of slavery and firmly links captive redemptions to state formation and in turn to the still vital ideology of liberatory conquest. Trinitarian. The Trinitarians, formerly known as the Order of the Most Holy Trinity and of the Captives, is a mendicant order of the Catholic Church. John de Matha, there's a high school named after him in Baltimore, de Matha. John de Matha founded the order in 1198 to ransom Europeans held captives by the Moors. And you Google, and certain sites will actually say this. And I got this from the site by the Moors. In their records, 600 years of records, both the Trinitarian, established in 1198, and the Mercedarian, here we go, the Mercedarian order was founded by Peter Lanasco in Spain in 1218 for the purpose of ransoming European captives from the Moors. Now, what am I doing here? I am showing evidence that Moor and Morocco was central to diplomatic, consular, captivity and ransoming strategies, consular relations, treaty relations, was central among the European powers. That is undeniable. The evidence is there. So I have to lay out facts, have to lay out documentary evidence. Piracy. All right, here we go. This is this conference, and I put this here. I typed out the whole brochure. This is the brochure. All right, and I think I have 6 or 7 slides of this. So I just so that people can see. I want them to feel it. I want them to see that they're addressing this, that this is this is very serious among them. So much so that they had organized an international conference in 2016, Piracy and Captivity in the Mediterranean, 1530 to 1830, Barbary Coast Captivity Narratives International Conference, June 16 to June 18, 2016. Keynote speakers, Wolfgang Kaiser, all right, University of Paris, Pantheon Sorbonne, Nabir Matar, University of Minnesota, Jeremy Popkin, University of Kentucky, Christine Shears, University of Alabama, Huntsville, George A. Starr, University of California, Berkeley, John Daniel J. Vickers, I reference him in Moore's Masonry Part 1 and 2, Daniel J. Vickers, University of California, San Diego, and Gillian Weiss, Case Western Reserve University, Cleveland, Ohio. All right, continuing, we have the keynote lecture 1, Nabir Matar, University of Minnesota, 2 Arabic accounts of captivity in 17th century Malta. This is what he lectured on. Keynote lecture 2, Christine Sears, University of Alabama. Arab spectators and slavery in the late 1800s, which is the 1700s, 18th and early 19th century, which is the 1800s. Western Sahara. Keynote lecture 3, Gillian Weiss, Case Western Reserve University, and a Argonaut captivity in Uthman Day's court. History, chronologically, Der Romy, Der Tripoli, 1685, and its author. Keynotes, lecture 4, Daniel J. Vickers, University of California, San Diego, From Ransoming Captives to Human Trafficking. This is about them, y'all. English text, commercial transformation, and Barbary captivity in the early modern period. I just want them to get a feel.
May I interject again? It's a question. Since they're talking about the Barbary and so forth, so the narratives that we were given, Pirates of the Caribbean and all of these things would have been maybe Moors taking Europeans in captivity as opposed to the way the story was given.
Exactly. Let's go now. Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence to support what you're saying? The treaties that I have in Moors and Masonry Part 1 are the evidence to support what you're saying. Also in archives, state archives, and also state archives and state records, where you have letters and diplomatic correspondence by the various kings and queens of Europe. That story that they're presenting on TV doesn't fit the treaties, because you're talking about a day. You know, they negotiating a treaty with a day of Algiers or Bay of Tripoli or the Emperor of Morocco. You know, so you're talking about from an organized central governing body. The way they write, the way they presented in the movies, that these were some loose pirate people on their own. When I analyze the documents, you're going to see that the treaties, they're not negotiating treaties with no pirates. They're negotiating treaty with the Dey of Algiers, the Bay of Tripoli, the Emperor of Morocco. You have the 1682 treaty between the Dey of Algiers and Great Britain that dealt with the issue of navigation. In fact, the Moorish treaties with England protected the English merchants, English subjects, as they traveled from our land here along the Atlantic seacoast and of the English colonies to the Mediterranean and also to Europe. Those treaties protected. Once they revolted, once the subjects revolted against their mother, the British Crown, those treaties no longer protected them. But what they did was they forged navigation passes, because the 1682 treaty with the Dey of Algiers and the Kingdom of Great Britain was protected that. So the navigational passes were major. The treaties addressed this. What happens what's the issue, Dr. Naila, is that you have conscious Moors who are looking at movies, and that their study is limited. They have a limited study. They're looking at movies. They will maybe read one paragraph or one book, or where I've done extensive research because I wanted to give our people. I know our people ain't gonna do this research that I've done. They don't need to. You leave a legacy. You leave a legacy for the people. What they need to do the research for? The book is in there. They can go verify, but I already know they're not going to go do it. So this is meaning that we need enough scholars. Once again, this is a conference. This is the international conference among scholars. See, they got their scholars. They got their structure All right, they have their conference, and I was hoping to do the same through Moors and Masonry, part 1. Any other questions before I go on?
No. Thank
All
you.
right. So we have here keynote lecture number 5, George A. Star, University of California, Berkeley, Barbary Slavery and Robinson Crusoe. Oh, y'all learned about Robinson Crusoe in school for 5th grade? I did. Y'all know that he was so Robinson Crusoe, we're the center of that because he was held in Moorish captivity. So is Don Quixote. Don Quixote was held in Moorish captivity for a whole year. Man of La Mancha, Don Quixote. So you have, and there were plays, and I don't have the plays listed, but I have them in Moors Masonry Part 1. Keynotes. All right, so I won't go. So we have keynote lecture. I just want to get them a feel. Wolfgang Kaiser. And then we'll go through each slide. We have here University of Paris, persuasion or plausibility narrative elements in the ransoming process. Keynote speaker, keynote lecture 7, Jeremy Popkin, University of Kentucky. Emily in Chains, a new perspective on Rousseau and slavery. This is a major issue. This is an international conference in 2016. Parallel workshops, panel 1, workshop A, the Northern European perspective. Chair M. Russell, Adam Nichols, Reverend Oliver Elkinson, a man of his times. Joachim Aslud, slave trade and slave labor at the Swedish consulate in North Africa, a study into the networks of slavery and the use of unfree Africans and Europeans, 1730, 1850. Oh, we don't hear about this. These African scholars don't even touch this. These African scholars can't even, I couldn't even invite them. I couldn't invite any of them. If I wanted, I would have to go to Europeans. I would have to bring in Linda Connolly, of Princeton University, Nabin Matar, Christine Woodard. I have to bring them in because our brothers, these African scholars, are caught up in the transatlantic slave trade claim. This is not their area of study. That Moorish power is not their area of study. They on the black thing, black, and we're going to systematically address that. All right. Just continuing here, let's look at Nicoletta Papadopoulou, conversation and integration, national anxieties in American Barbary captivity narratives. Tobias Altbach, easier imagined than described. Femininity and fictionality in American Barbary Coast captivity narratives. Zalt Palatas, welcome visitor and or political pest of society. See they're thinking? The mission of the Tunisian envoy from Barbary to the United States, 1805, 1806. Now, if I was there at this conference, I'm the enemy. I'm at the conference. I'm the enemy because they're writing about, the conference is about us. The conference will be about my people enslaving them. So that would be uncomfortable for them. The fact that I know it and I can, speak on their level about it. But remember, I would be, meaning, though we are part of the subject, of the conference because the conference was about narratives, Europeans held in Moorish captivity. So we're also part of the subject of the conference. But we're in the power position. See?
Then
that's what will make them uncomfortable. Because they, so used to us being subservient to them and, pleading to them for some rights, and I mean, they're used to that. They hosing us down, and we always marching and praying and visuals, and it's always when they in textbooks when they show Europeans and Moors in the textbooks, it's always Europeans in a superior position. They show us, it's like we're going to them, pleading for them, stop messing with us. They're whipping us, they're hosing us down. We're in a subordinate position. So now you have here this international conference among Europeans talking about us in a what? Superior position. I just want them people to wrap their heads around that. You have a question, Dr. Nayela? A comment?
No.
All right. International conference continued. Workshop panel 2, processing captivity. Michael Gordon, Spanish Captivio literature and the vector of the Jew to the Iberian Peninsula. Marcus Huntner, rereading captivity, hybrid genres, and the narrative experimentation in the early modern captivity narratives. All right. Julia Banaza, the color of the skin in the Mediterranean slave exchanges. Palermo, Livorno, Algiers, and Tunis. Let me go into that. There's a statue. I'll bring that up. I'll come back to that because I have the statue. So let me just continue. Workshop, orientation and the Orient. We have beyond the Orientalism, rereading American Barbary captivity narratives, Islam's blonde conquest on the Barbary coast. All right, so just want to give them a feel of this workshop. That's why I put that's why this is from the brochure. I want our people to get a feel, to know that, they can see what type of matters, what type of lectures were being presented. Workshop A, captivity and life stories. All right. So we have here Mark at the bottom, Mark, Peter Mark, Ahmed al-Mansur, and Antonio de Sardenha, the Muslim ruler as enlightened despot. Let me explain who he is. All right. Ahmed al-Mansur, I have in Moors and Masonry Part 1, where he and Queen Elizabeth in the late 1500s, had several correspondence. Queen Elizabeth did not take a strong position of addressing English enslavement, Moorish enslavement of the English subjects. She did not take a strong position, though she and her and the Emperor of Morocco, Ahmed Amar, which in the late 1500s, early 1600s, when Queen Elizabeth transitioned in 1601, King James I of England took a strong, and he's James IV of Scotland. He took a strong position against Moorish enslavement of English subjects. So I chronicle that in Moors and Masonry, and there are documentary evidence to support that. So this is all right. Workshop, so this week, so we got a feel. So I just wanted to give them a feel. All right. So this is the last slide for this section. All right. Putting Christian slavery into perspective on Johann Fritsch, Schackenplatz. All right. You have Barbagasser. All right. We have Slavery, 1666. Look at the year. All right. Sebastian Zielinski, Gotha and its Lost Seamen, the image of slavery in central Germany in the first half of the 18th century, which is the 1700s. All right, here we go. Any questions before I go on, Dr. Nayela? Comments?
No. Well, one,
yes.
Just one. Is there any connection towards between this these levels of these narratives of slavery and what became the daughters of American Revolution of the D.A.R. Was that
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There, because once again, you see that if you're looking at the Daughters of American Revolution and the issues that are addressed, remember, this is a major issue here of Moorish enslavement of Europeans. You also have the Ottoman dynasty that they had to deal with. So both the Ottoman Empire, what they call the Ottoman Empire or the Ottoman dynasty, and the Moroccan Empire were world powers. When you're talking about towers during the 15, 16, and 1700s, we control the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. So once again, you have to, so once again, instead of saying the slave trade didn't happen, present nuggets, present our power, give them references to our power. You got to build up to that. So they that way you're not looked at as a buffoon, an idiot. I want y'all to be taken seriously. That's why I put the effort in and putting in looking at the treaties and putting in the references from Moor to Blackmoor to Blackamoor to Black. Now we're going to look at here. The main subtopic is a systematic burial. You're going to see this. You're going to see through the documentary evidence a systematic burial of our Moorish nationality, national identity. You're going to see this. Here we go. Analyzing the definition of Moor in the Etymological Dictionary of the English Language, 4th edition, 1910, Reverend Walter W. Skeet, Literature Doctor of Literature, D.C.L., LLD, PhD, FBA. Moor, a native of North Africa, a Moor or one of Mauritania, a Black Moor. So here, Black Moor. So you notice how the Black Moor is spelled, or Negro. So you see Black Moor and Negro was used interchangeably. Mensu edition 1627, Middle English, Moorish, plural, Moors. Mandeville's Travel, chapter 14, page 156, F. Moor, a Moor, Morania, Black Moor, all right, quote, literature, Latin, Moorish, a Moor, continuing. C. Smith's Class Dictionary, all right, Moorish, and C. Moorish, Morocco, Moranian, also Black or Moor, spelled Blackmore. Now notice how Blackmore, Black hyphen, let me say Black hyphen A hyphen Moor. So when it's presented like this, it's more obvious in this structure. Black hyphen A hyphen Moor, spelled Blackamoor, and Cotgrave as above, a corruption of Blackmore. All right, that's it, a corruption of Blackmore. Now look, I want y'all to slow this down. So Blackamoor, Blackamore, or Blackamoor, it says it's a corruption of Blackamoor. You see how it's separated? You see how Black and Moor separated? Mm-hmm. That means Moor is visibly seen in that structure. We're going to see this in the Geneva Bible. See the systematic cover-up? See the systematic burial? It's not done abruptly. You can't do it abruptly. All right. So also, as above, also spelled Blackmore without the A. And Beam and Fletcher, Mons Thomas, Volume 2. We'll continue. Moor, Moro, Morris. Moro or Filipino. King Philip of Spain named the Moro people of the land after him. So if someone says, I am Filipino. Oh, you're a subject of King Philip. Well, it doesn't mean that now. I'm I'm lost. King Philip in the mid 1500s put his name on you, Filipino, and you say time period. Time changes that meaning. Time changes application. You acknowledge that that's the case, but time, so 400 years have passed, and then now it means something else. How? It's an act of conquest. That's what it is today. They put their name on us as an act of conquest. How does it mean? How's it the nationality now? Now, please, somebody help me out. How's it a nationality? Oh, because what? Somebody said it is? Hold on, whoa. Because our conquerors said it's a nationality? How's it a nationality? That's the name of the conqueror of the people. Time period doesn't change that. Blackamoor, now let's look at this. Blackamoor, notice the spelling, notice the separation, notice the space there in the 1560 Geneva Bible. So Moor, and notice that black is spelled with a lowercase b and Moor with a capital M, making it very what? Distinguished. All right, it's what it's clearly identifiable because there's a space there, and Moor is capitalized. So we're black. So we're not Blackmoors. We're not Blackamoors. We're not Moors. We're black. Oh, all right. All right, African scholar. You're getting paid. I know. I got you. You got your books. You got your books, and you're protecting that. You're protecting your financial screen. You do lectures all over the country. I got you. You do lectures. You're defending that at the expense of the people. Continuing, the Bible and Holy Scriptures, i.e., the Geneva Bible translation, William Winningham, Anthony Gilby, Thomas Sampson, Geneva, 1560. All right, here we go. Jeremiah 13:23. Can the Blackamoor, notice how black is spelled and Moor is spelled. We're talking about capitalized. Let's focus on this, that is capitalized. Black is lowercase, Moor is capitalized. Why? Why is black lowercase? Why isn't black capitalized? Why is Moor capitalized and black's not capitalized? So when you're talking to your friends, your coworkers, you got to stop and point that out. You just can't read this. You just can't read this to them and then not point that out. They're not going to see it. It's not going to be, I mean, they'll see it, but it won't mean anything to them. So you have to slow it down. The way I'm doing it now is Stop, point out, go to grammar, give them grammar lesson. All right. Black. When you capitalize what? Proper nouns. Proper nouns are capitalized. All right. So that's Moor's a proper noun. The nationality, identity of a people. Black's not capitalized.
Can you also point out that it's not spelled like this in the Geneva Bible?
Yes.
The E is not on, and it's not
the E's not there.
And of that, that's just 1560. This is 1560 Geneva Bible. 1590.
1599, it was different.
1560. 1560. This is fifth. That's one of the clarity. This is the 1560 Geneva Bible. All right, that's the spelling, the 1560.
And then your current Bible is going to say
So now,
now they've changed it to Ethiopian.
Here we go. This is the 1599 Geneva Bible. You see Jeremiah 13:23. Can Blackamoor? So that's what? Modern English. Whereas in the 1560 Geneva Bible, that's Middle English. So let me qualify. That's Middle English in the 1560 Geneva Bible. in the 1599, got to give the language label, 1599 Geneva Bible, this is modern English. So can the black Moor change his skin? And notice how black Moor is spelled. It's a space and Moor is capitalized. That's why.
Does that maybe, Brother Abdullah, denote or does that reflect that when you say black Moor, were they differentiating Moors of darker complexion from those while they be Moors?
You jump in ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay,
yes to your answer, and then that's yes.
Okay,
yes. So I'm gonna yes. I'm going to address that. That's already in the slides. Yes.
Okay.
Yes is your answer. Yes is your answer. All right, and because you'll see reference definitions: dark skin. When you read blackamoor, a definition: dark skin person, dark skin after dark skin. So yes, you're right. All right.
Listen,
now,
this is a funny
another term I'll get them later.
I'll give you a little funny sidebar. So today I'm looking at like binge watching. I didn't watch it back when it was on, but I'm looking at an episode of Dave Chappelle's the Chappelle Show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you had Charlie Murphy, the late Charlie Murphy, Eddie Murphy, the other brother, talking about back how Rick James used to call them, he and his brother, all of these names. He said because what's his name, the one that played Blade,
Wesley Snipes.
He said he didn't know about Wesley Snipes back then. He was hanging out with Rick James. He said we was the blackest ones. He said that the darkest ones he knew at that time. So he used to literally, he was telling the story about how he used to get on them for their complexion, being so dark or so black or such. So, we have different degrees, and that's the thing, we come in all hues, and that's what people, I think sometimes folks get hung up on. Are you a more based solely on the complexion of your skin or not? Or is there something else that makes that determining factor?
All right, since I got to say the word because I got to clear it up. No problem. I got to do it now because I got to clear it up. All right, you have a term called tawny Moor.
Right, lighter skin.
So Terrence Howard. So I'm giving names that people are familiar with. Mm-hmm. Terrence Howard, the actor, would be referred to as a tawny Moor. In the 1500s and 1600s, Terrence Howard would have been referred to as a tawny Moor. Wesley Snipes would have been referred to as a black Moor. They're both Moors. Right. Terrence Howard's a Moor. Wesley Snipes a Moor. So this concept of dark skin, light skin, black person, dark skin, black person, that was already there. That's not new. I see. That's not a modern concept of dark skin, black person. Light skin. No, what? It was blackamoor, tawny Moor. Blackamoor, all right, dark skin, black person. Black Moor. All right, Terrence, tawny Moor. Abdullah, black Moor. So that's not a new. So you see, thank you for this. You see the systematic burial of our national identity. So no longer are they saying black Moor or tawny Moor, they're saying dark skin black, light skin black, brown skin black.
And so the conversation in the chat is also someone that's mentioning the fact that black though meant pale. So
all right, no, all right. No, black doesn't mean all right. That's not all right.
Pale, bleach,
oh man, I don't have that. Oh my goodness. I'm killing myself now because I said I should have had the etymology of black. All right. So all right, I gotta give it to him. All right. Blague, the Indo-European root. Blague, B-H-L-E-G, That's the Indo-European root. You have the, which means bright, shine. When you're saying black means pale, that is in the Germanic languages. In the Germanic languages, modern Old English, Middle English, Modern English, German, Low German, Old High German, Phrygian, Sweden, Danish, Dutch. In the Germanic languages, that is the prevailing meaning, constructed meaning. But going back to the Indo-European root, Bleg, B-H-L-E-G, and it was transferred from the Indo-European root. You have to the Greek, Phlegian. So you have the PH, P-H-E-G-E-I-N, the Greek. So you burn. In the Latin, you know that the GH is an F, or the PH rather. I'm sorry, P-H-L-E-G-E-N. In the Greek, it's P-H-L-E-G-E-I-N, Phlegian. That is in the Greek. The PH in Greek transliterates to the F in Latin. It's phlegier. Flare, flame on. Flare sticks. Flare sticks. Because it's bright, burn, shine. So in the Germanic languages, it's the F in the Latin languages, which includes French, Latin, Portugal, Italian, is what? The F. So the F in the Latin languages transliterates to the B in the Germanic languages. And that's, you see pale in the Germanic languages. You will not see pale in the Greek, in the Indo-European root definition, in the Greek definition, in the Latin definition. You will see pale in the Germanic languages. Once again, German, Old High German, Old Low German, Modern Old English, Middle English, Modern English, Danish, Dutch. All right. So Google y'all the Indo-European root for black. And
so we've been looking at just one meaning then.
You've been looking at one classification. You've been looking at one classification of language. One classification of language, Germanic languages.
Right. It's not broad.
Right. You have not been looking at the Germanic, you have not been looking at the Indo-European root, the Greek, and the Latin. You've been looking only at the Germanic languages. So I'm broadening it now. Thank you for that. I was like, I need to put that in there. I said, I need to put that.
Yeah, that's good. We need that clarification.
Absolutely. And they can look up. Please. You don't need to say Abdullah said anything. Look it up right now. The Indo-European root for Bleg. So that becomes their own. I'm here. I want to empower the people.
Yeah.
All right. So we clear on that now, Dr. Naila?
I think so. Thank you.
All right. All right, great. Did I read this? Jeremiah 38:7. Now when Edbed Malik, yes, thank you, T. when Edbed Malik ye Blackmoor, once again, see how Blackmoor is spelled? It's space. Black is lowercase, Moor is capital. You have to point that out to your loved ones, your friends, these African scholars. But these African scholars are going to act dumb. So don't even talk to them. Don't waste your time with them. No, you're wasting your time. All right, you think that they're going? All right, you think that they earn their living doing this? They earn their living with these black books. So you think that they're going to admit? Oh, I understand. Oh, let me give up my vacation home because they earn their living pushing that.
That's true.
They're paid to do lectures on this black agenda. So they're going to play dumb. They're going to act like you're not qualified. Where you went to school, you know what I mean? I got a PhD and I'm Professor Buskitsky and you're nobody. You mean you're nobody and who are you? And, they're going to come like that because they're going to try to discredit you, and they're going to be successful. They're going to be successful discrediting you in front of their audience. They will discredit you. They already have their audience. You're not going to win. They already have their minions. They got their minions. They have their audience. You're not going to win because their audience has been indoctrinated with the black. All right. So what you do is you gain the knowledge and you talk to your friends and co-workers and so forth, and do this on your platforms as well. Post this on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and TikTok or whatever, whatever. All right. Just present the evidence. Present the evidence. But keep in mind that those quote unquote the Moorish scholars, meaning Moorish scholars, meaning, all right, I'm a Moorish scholar. I'm a Moorish scholar by pedigree and by subject matter. They're Moorish scholars by pedigree, not by subject matter. They're still Moors. They're not black. So they're Moorish scholars. So what's the difference? We're both Moorish scholars. I mean, by pedigree. They're Moor. I'm a Moor by pedigree. But I'm also a Moorish scholar by what? Study,
research.
And research. They're not. I just want to qualify Moorish scholar because that also applies to them too, but only by pedigree. All right, so I got to qualify everything. I can't assume anything. All right. So we have here blackamoor. Just want to give the references. In the 15:999, continuing here, Jeremiah 39:16. Go and speak to Ibn Malik the blackamoor, saying, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel. Behold, I will bring my words upon the city for evil and not for good, and they shall be accomplished in that day before thee." Notice the spelling of blackamoor. Black is lowercase, more is capitalized. Jeremiah 46:9. Come up, ye horses, and rage, ye chariots, and let the valiant men come forth, the Blackmoors and Libyans that bear the shield, and the Lydians that handle and bend the bow. I hope I am providing the same energy of the audio presentation that I sent you weeks back. Ezekiel 29:10. Behold, therefore, I come upon thee and upon thy rivers, and will make that the land of Egypt utterly waste and desolate, from the tower of Sion even unto the borders of Blackmoors. So we're black, we're Negro, when Blackmoor and Blackamoor was interchanged with Negro for a 300-year period. So we're Negroes, we're blacks, we're
Ethiopians,
we're Ethiopians, we're African American. You're going to see here that Ethiopian was substituted. They used Ethiopian substituted Moor in the same verses in the Geneva Bible. I got it here. I got it in the slides. Same verses.
It's interesting, the Bible, when they talk about Ethiopia, because many of us did not relate ourselves with Ethiopians because we were African Americans or black or colored or Negro, and Ethiopia was over there. But it says Ethiopia shall stretch forth her hand, or thy hand. So there is a part in the Bible that talks about it's almost like the redemption of, or Ethiopia having to be the one to, extend or make peace or make things right. You know the scripture that talks about Ethiopia.
I know you talk about. I know exactly what you talk about. But
again, they're talking about the Moors though. But they're talking about the Moors though. That's the point I want to make.
Yes, there you go. You're right. So you want to absolutely. That's the point. That's the point. That's the point that we want to bring out. That Blackmoor, they substituted Ethiopian Blackmoor with Ethiopian with the same verses in the King 1611 King James version. So what I am showing is the systematic burial of our Moorish nationality and national identity. We want to highlight that first, and then what you said is true. Is true. So the reference of Ethiopian in the Bible are us.
Right.
Are us. Where's the evidence, Abdullah? The 1560 King James Version, the 1560 Geneva Bible, the 1599 Geneva Bible, the same verses, and then you go to the King James Version, 1611, which I have, 1611, you're going to see Ethiopian. So you are right. So we got to point those out. All right, here we go. Ezekiel 29:10. Behold, therefore I come upon thee and upon thy rivers, and I will make the land of Egypt utterly waste and desolate from the towers of Sion, even unto the borders of Blackmoors. You see that? Continuing. All right. Blackmoor in the 1599 Geneva Bible, Jeremiah 38:12. And the Ibn Malik, the Blackmoor said unto Jeremiah, put now these often rotten rags and worn under thine arms holes between the cords, and Jeremiah did so. So you see blackamoor again. Now here we go. I'll continue more, but I wanted to give him every reference. I didn't want to leave no stone unturned. Ezekiel 39. In that day shall their messengers go forth from me in the ships to make the careless Moors afraid, and the Moors here, afraid, and fear shall come upon them as in the day of Egypt, for lo, it cometh. Now we have here Blackmoor and blackamoor and other sources. Misogynous, Kettering, Laurentius, Morina, 1577. I am by my country and birth a true Ethiopian. I have seen the Blackmoors, Egyptian, a true Egyptian. I have seen the Blackmoors and the men of Sini. My father was also a natural Ethiopian. I must needs be very cunning. I have it by kind. So we see Blackmoor here. The Oxford Dictionary of English Etymology edition by C.T. Onions with the assistance of G.W.S. Fretchinson and R.W. Birchfield. Negro. So here's the Negro. Black man. Blackamoor. So one as a definition. So Negro is defined as a blackamoor. Wow. Negroes defined. I mean, these so-called Moorish scholars of consanguinity, by consanguinity, but not by scholarship. What's this? So we're Negro, but we're not Blackmoor. We're not Moors. We're not blackamoors, but we're Negroes. We're black. That's interesting. Here we go. The name Ethiopian buries our Moorish nationality, national identity in the 1611 King James Version. Blackmoor substituted for Ethiopian in the 1611 King James Bible Version. Jeremiah, same verses that's in the Geneva 1560, 1599 Geneva Bible. Jeremiah 13:23. Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spot? Then may ye also do good, that the custom to do evil. Jeremiah 38:7. Same as in the Geneva Bible. Now when Ebimelech, the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs which was in the king's house, had heard that they had put Jeremiah in the dungeon, the king then sitting in the gate of Benjamin. Jeremiah 38:10. Then the king commanded Ebimelech the Ethiopian, saying, take from hence 30 men with thee, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon before he died. So you see Ethiopian saint, you see the substitution here.
Yeah.
The name Ethiopian buries our Moorish nationality, Moorish nationality, national identity in the 1611 King James Version. Continue. Jeremiah 38:12. And Ebimelech the Ethiopian said unto Jeremiah, put now these old cast clots and rotten rags on the armholes under the cord, and Jeremiah did so. A T, can you I gotta go up. I gotta use the bathroom. All right, I'm gonna just give me one. I gotta go ahead, T. Continue to talk, Dr. Naila.
Okay. All right then. We are going to we're taking a short break for the fact that our brother has to step out for a moment. But I will take this opportunity, first of all, to thank you all for being here. Please don't go anywhere. We will continue, but I do want to remind you all of our in-person monthly civics classes that we have here at House of Reawakening Minds, and it's growing. We have the fourth Friday of each month. It's coming up on October 27th, 2023. 7 p.m. is to 9:30. As I always say, we're normally here way past 9:30. It gets to be more like midnight, but we try to keep it, within that the same day to get out. But there's quite a few that have RSVP'd. Hope that you will be able to attend. We used to do only live classes, and then with the addition of a few years, maybe now it's probably been like 6 years though, that we've been doing the broadcasts online. But it's nothing like coming up close and personal and being here. So that's every fourth Friday, unless weather, as we're getting into the colder months, we may have an occasion where we may not have a fourth Friday. But when we do have them, we want you to come out and be part of what we are doing. Absolutely. Let me see, what else can I tell you? Oh, we also are urging those of you who have businesses, and if you have a business, we would love for you to advertise your business right here on our channel. We have been running banners for years freely for folks, but now we're asking, and we also thank, we are really grateful for those of you who now have your business on our actual website. And if you want to do that, you just go to our website at www.houseofreawakeningminds.com. And let me, as a matter of fact, put this up here: advertise your business or service on our channel. It's only 10 Federal Reserve notes a month. You get a beautiful ad for those of you who maybe are not familiar with what you get for that. Let me see if I can actually bring it up. And Business Marketplace is here. See listings. Let me see if I can share. Let me go back here. Let me share my screen, y'all, while we're waiting. Business Marketplace. Let me see if I can. Okay, let me share this. So these are just a few of the businesses that have actually signed up so far. You actually get your, just a few of you have done it so far, but you can literally, if you click on for instance, let me just click on one. So you get to put your link, whatever it is you do. You get to do that right here on here. So we want you to, sign up today. I don't think you can get anything like that for just 10 notes. Here's another indigo body. And then you get to click on the link right here. And then, well, they don't have their website yet, but if its website was active, you'd be able, but you're going to at least get in touch. Here's how to get in touch with this brother who's on here. Let me see. Just trying to show you some of what's on here. Here's a reader, and this is the ad, and then there's a link to the actual website. So this is something that if you have a business or service and you want to be a part of this, then by all means, please. Thank you. You're back. So I was just advertising. Look, I was just doing a commercial. All right, thank you. Okay, let me bring this back in at the stage. Okay.
Yes.
There we go. All right then. All right, y'all. We're ready to continue.
All right, we continue here. All right, we have here systematic burial. All right, here we go. You and I had talked about this, and I did talk about
Yeah.
this on that audio broadcast. Princess Michael of Kent wears brooch of a blackamoor. Why was the brooch of the blackamoor worn by Princess of Michael of Kent classified as a racist image, a European social engineering tactic to the suppression of Moorish history? So this was up in arms. All right. So once again, going back to black Moor, the dark-skinned Moor, tawny Moor, light skin.
Mhm.
Yeah, tawny Moor. I have pictures. Pictures that we continue. All right. So this, they wanted to suppress this. You know, she's a. You have a princess here, a princess wearing a brooch of a black Moor, a brooch of a Moor. Dark skin. Oh, that's a racist image. That's blackface. You know, that's blackface. That's a stereotype.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
was, to me, it was very, at the point when it came out, I was very much aware at that point in my life about who the Moors were, the nobility. And so for the allegedly the queen to come out and reprimand Princess Michael, it was like, really, exactly what she was doing, and you know exactly what that stands for. But for the public, you made it a reprimand, as like you said, as a cover-up. That was, be it, that was not racist, that was an honor.
Absolutely. And she wore it in honor. Absolutely. I mean, because it can't be, she's wearing an honor. And we know, if knowing the history, that is clearly why she wore it in honor. Look, let's analyze this. Let's look. All right. This is not a brooch of a Moor bounded in chains.
No.
Just look. I look at the dress. Examine the dress. A turban. Look at the rubies on the turban. Look at the dress. The vase, the vest rather. It's of royalty. This is not a picture of Albion enslaving a Moor. This is of high honor, just by the dress.
Right.
All right, so we point those out. All right, here we got Moors in the coat of arms in Germany and Portugal. J. Rogers, Nature Knows a Color Line. The Negro as Moor in aristocratic European families. All right, just going to show images. All right. Moor, flag of Corsica and Sardinia. Moors in the Irish family coat of arms. Moors in the coat of arms of families in Central Europe. J. Rogers, National Color Line, Chapter 6, The Negro as Moor in aristocratic European families. Aristocratic. Not low Europeans of low status. Aristocratic European families. So everything has to be slowly analyzed. Continuing here. Continuing. See Moors. All right, Moors in the coat of arms in France. So they're going to have, France is going to have those held in captivity in their coat of arms. In their national coat of arms, France is going to have people held in captivity as their coat of arms. I mean, it just, Moors in the coat of arms. All right. Continuing. All right, here we go. The Monument of the Four Moors is located in Livorno, Italy. It was completed in 1626 to commemorate the victories of Fernando I of Tuscany over the Moors. All right. In Livorno and Palermo, Italy, during the 1500s, over 10,000 Moors were held in captivity. 10,000 of us during the 1500s in Palermo Italy and Livorno, Italy, this was a huge market of Moors during that time period. As I said before, we had them enslaved, captivity. They had us.
Right.
All right. So what they present is one side. Just why though? What's the motive? Is to paint this like Robert Davis said, the enslavement of Europeans doesn't fit the general theme of European world conquest and colonization that is central to scholarship on the early modern era. Of course it is. Age of exploration, right in the textbooks. Colonization, conquest. They're just presenting them. But you present us, our power, then it's like, wow, how were they able to transport 12 million of us out of the continent of Africa when we had this power of the Atlantic, and that's the Ottoman Empire and the Moroccan Empire during the 15, 16, 1700s that controlled the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. So if you read, and I have in Moors and Masonry Part 2 of, I think, chapter 1 in Moors and Masonry Part 2, where I reference a few books written about the Atlantic, the Atlantic trade, and you have authors that will, in referencing Morocco, they'll have what, 2 sentences. They'll have a small paragraph. So this is clearly a cover up but these Europeans that are at that conference, and I have in Moors and Masonry Part 1 and 2, they're telling it. They're flat out telling it. But they're not part of the mainstream. Mm-hmm. But they are telling it. Because that's their history. So their history has been covered up too. So they want the record to be set straight. All right, so you see here, Monument of the Four Moors, the enslavement of thousands of Moors during the 1500s in Livorno and Palermo, Italy. Blackamoor, and Tawny Moor. Here we go. And Tawny Moor, Tanny Moor. Blackamoor, a dark-skinned Moor. Tawny Moor, Tanny Moor, a brown-skinned and light-skinned Moor. Webster's Dictionary, 1828. Tawny, adjective, of a dull yellowish brown color, like things tanned or persons who are sunburnt, as a tawny Moor or Spaniard. Here we go. You see tawny, orange brown or yellowish brown. Continuing. All right. We have tanny skin tone. You have here the third one or the second one from my right. You see here tawny fair. The ones whose hand is upright.
Right.
The arms right, yes, tawny fair. All right, so it's important that I present the images. Tawny skin tone. Terrence Howard. Got Terrence here. Tawny Moor. We're Moors, but that concept of describing the skin complexion was prevalent. That was prevalent during the 15, 16, 1700s, hence blackamoor, and the definition that's given to it, dark-skinned person. And and people have to know there's also the term tawny Moor. All right, there we go. Tawny skin tone. Black Moor, and any questions to that before we continue? Because I know you had brought this up, and before I got to this, but I needed to address it at that time because you did bring this up. So are we clear on this point?
Yes.
All right. Blackmoor and blackamoor used for a dark-skinned person between 15 and 1800s, 300 years. Blackamoor and blackamoor today, because of European social engineering and the systematic burial of our Moorish national origin, consequently nationality, it is common to hear people refer to a dark-skinned person as a dark-skinned black person. Between the 15 and 1800, it was common to refer to a dark-skinned person as a blackamoor, a black and blackamoor, blackamoor, and blackamoor. All right, Tony Moore. Today, because of European social engineering and the systematic burial of our national origin, consequently nationality, it is common to hear people refer to a brown-skinned, light-skinned person as a brown-skinned black person and a light-skinned black person. Between the 15 and 1800s, a brown-skinned person and light-skinned person were referred to as Tawny Moors, Tanny Moor. Race or nationality, the followers of the modern race paradigm. Race, the modern paradigm used as a political substitution for nationality, national origin, consequently, genealogy, ancestry, descent, pedigree, parentage, lineage. Race, the building block of the subjugation of a people and the cover-up of their national origin, nationality, consequently. Francois Benaire, French craniologist, Columnist, Swedish naturalist, Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, a German anthropologist. The faulty racial construct. These completely faulty ideas continue to shape how some people think about race today. We talked about today. Maybe we talked about, well, today, once again, these completely faulty ideas completely shape how some people think today about race today. Think about race today as a biological fact rather than a social construct. So in order to let me say this, Dr. Naila, because you did bring that up. When I remember with substituting in Camden, and we had the students in the auditorium, like students who would come in late, and students they were sent to the auditorium. A European, a former cop who was their substitute, he said, Mr. Bey, they should give the students current events, like in the while instead of having students sitting around in the auditorium, not just not doing anything productive. He said they should talk about current events. I said Mr. So and so. I said current events are direct correlation to past events. Of course, he's going to say, "You're too deep, Mr. Bey. You're too deep." So because when it comes to our children, about educating our children, we're too deep. So you're going to talk about current events. You're not talking about current events because current events is a direct relationship to past events. So we're talking about race paradigm as a current event. It ain't current as its origin. So we're not talking about the origin of false concepts, the origin of words, true meaning of words. And then you saying talking about today, I mean, they're shaping our minds because they're covering up. Because the past guides the present. Let me explain. When those who know the real deal about ancient world history, about jurisprudence, they'll refer to past events. Let me explain. In the 1952 case, let me give an example because I got to give an example so they can see. In 1952 case between France and the United States in the International Court of Justice, France used there was three types of treaties that were used to determine the extent of extraterritorial jurisdiction for the United States and Morocco. France stood on Moorish treaties. This dealt with the most favorable nation status, like who would, the United States was claiming to be immune from taxes and volume and dealing with exports. So this deals with the most favorable nation status, who had the most favorable nation status. All right. So France used, there was 3 types of treaties that were used. The first type of treaties, the primary type of treaties, are the Moorish bilateral treaties between 1631 to 1892, between that's the Morocco and these European powers, France, Belgium, England / Great Britain, the Netherlands, Sardinia, Spain, Portugal, Sweden. These are, and then United States. So this is past. So France went to the past, went to these past old treaties to make the claim, because France dealt, once again, going back to the treaties that have a Moors and Masonry, the treaties between France and Morocco, France and Tunis, France and Tripoli, France and Algiers. So the past. So when I'm talking about past, I'm talking about right now. That is right now. That's what they don't want us to make a direct correlation. They've been, the European conquerors of our Moorish land have been so busy covering up by distortion. There's a quote by the basic tool for the manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. Those who control the meaning of words control the people who must use them. So to talk about current events, you must talk about past in order to see where you are, to address the issues, because all right, dealing with who we are, we got to go to the past. France stood on Moorish treaties. They went to the past, 1631 to 1892. You're talking about treaties back, what, how many years ago? 400 years ago?
Yeah.
And then the second type of treaties were the convention, 2 conventions, the Act of Algiers of 1906 and the Act to Protect Morocco 1880. And the third type of treaty was the Fez Treaty in 1912. So France in 1952 went to pass to address a current issue. Remember that was current in 1952. We're talking about current in 1952 to address a current issue, a current right, a most favorable nation status that's current. They went to the past. I had to give a clear reference, Dr. Nayila, so people can see where I'm coming from.
I'm just thinking in terms of the people who even just everything that the King James 1611 Bible says is the absolute truth, and have no inkling that there were Bibles that predated, like we're using the Geneva of 1509, 1599.
1599, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1599. And that predates, at least by 12 years, the one that they claim is the only one. So they need to go back, can go back even further than that, really. Because it comes from so many other sources, but just that little piece alone should blow some stuff out of the water of the infallibility of that word and what it says. I mean, they kept it, and I'm glad they did, because you see where the change was made, even between that little space of time. But we know that it was done, as you said, as a part of a social construct, social engineering, to hide, to bury, as you say, the nationality and identity of who we are.
Absolutely.
To take us out, to write us out of, like you have you wondering, where did we, with everything happened in so-called biblical times, and over there, now that we know a lot of over there was over here, but at the time it puts, like, where did we come in? Now you see the context of, you were just written out.
That's what I'm showing, that we were written out over there. It was buried. I mean, it's written in there. It's written in there, but the written out, what you mean by written out, you talk about the King James version 1611. There you go.
Right.
That's the written out.
Changing the words.
That's the written out. Yes, absolutely. That's the process of the writing out. All right. Through language. The basic tool for the manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. Those who control the meaning of words control the people who must use them. Philip K. Dick. Very profound. I'll say again, the basic tool for the manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. Those who control the meaning of words control the people who must use them. They do it through language. They maintain it through language, constructive language. So you have linguistics, and you have constructive linguistics. They deal with constructive linguistics because it's about maintaining rulership and conquest. Conquest, subjugation, and colonization of our Moorish lands and the mass denationalization of the Moors, our people. So in order to address that, you got to go past. You have to go to the past to see where you are in history to make a claim of who we are, to make a claim to a pre-existing sovereignty, pre-existing treaty protections. You got to go to the past. So that's the meaning the current, to address the current. I'm gonna, I just want to really clarify this. To address current, quote unquote, current issues, which are not current issues, you have to go to the past. Meaning you're talking about reclaiming, restoring, reversion to sovereignty, recovery of sovereignty. Let me give you that example. All right, Dr. Nayeli, how good, I got references upon references.
Mm-hmm.
All right. In 1968, Ceylon was classified by the United Nations International Law Commission in 1965 as a new state. In 1968, the representative of Ceylon challenged the International Law Commission of the United Nations Rights and Duty of States that Ceylon was not a new state, was in fact an old and original state, and should be recognized and re-entering the international community as an old and original state. The representative of Ceylon went to 19th century diplomatic relations and treaty relations that Ceylon had. That's 1800s. So we're talking about that's current. Ceylon was classified 1968 current. At that time, current. Ceylon classified as a new state by the International Law Commission of the United Nations Rights and Duty of States. Ceylon went to what? The past to make the claim that Ceylon is not a new state, but indeed an old and original state. See? How am I doing?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So that's what I'm saying, because we're talking current. And please, those who are listening, what I'm showing here, and talking past, you're talking current. That's for us not to understand that's a weakness among us. That's Dr. Naila, that would be a weakness. The Albions are what the Albions are doing? Hold on. What did George James say? George James said, Greek philosophy is a misnomer. Greek philosophy is what? Stolen Egyptian philosophy. So Europeans are going to the past, claiming our stuff, and distorting, i.e., for instance, Greek civilization, the term. It's about the term. There ain't no Greek civilization. There's a term that exists. Yes, you can look it up. There you're going to see it. There's a term called Greek civilization. Yes. That's construction. So they constructed the term Greek civilization and applied our culture, our architecture, our headdresses, our ceremonies, our rituals, our holidays, our festivals to it. That's what they do. Once again, the basic tool, we got to understand the methodology in which they're constructing and covering it up. The basic tool for the manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. Those who control the meaning of words, control those who misuse them. And that's an international law violation. That's a human rights violation of linguistic genocide. Because the motive is to what? Steal our birthright. The motive is to injure us. The motive is to subjugate us and to maintain that. The motive is to continue, is to keep us in a legal fiction category: Black, Negro, colored, Indian, West Indian. That's the motive. Mass denationalization, colonization, conquest, subjugation, linguistic genocide, biological genocide. To address this, I talked about post-millennium. Post-millennium in international law, it's restoration. Restoration, post-millennium, is a principle of restoration in international law, of returning a people to their original condition before conquest, before colonization, before subjugation, before captivity. It's called post-millennium, POSTLIMINIUN, post-millennium. Returning a people, returning to the limin threshold, returning to that threshold as if you had never been conquered, returning to that threshold, all right, post-millennium, as if you had, meaning where you stood, where your status was at the time of European conquest and colonization and subjugation. Whatever your status was at the time, meaning Moorish kingdoms, Moorish rulership, Moorish power, you return to that. That's an international law right. So what the issue is, Dr. Neal, and we talked about this before, where United States courts do not have the jurisdiction. All right. I said to you before on the phone when you called me 4 weeks ago, on what the United States is. If you just reading that Constitution, you don't know what the United States is. You don't know. If you're only limiting yourself to the United States Constitution, you don't know what the United States is. You don't know that the United States, by treaty with Great Britain in 1783, the definitive peace treaty between Great Britain and the United States, where His Britannic Majesty relinquished to the 13 original states. The treaty of Guadalupe between the United States and Mexico, where United States took over the obligation, the custodial care of the Spanish land grants in California, in New Mexico, in Colorado, and Nevada, and Arizona, and Texas. And the treaty, the 1803 treaty between France and the United States, where the French subjects, Article 3 of that treaty is where the French subjects became citizens of the United States. It became protection. So these are what? Products of European conquest. These are land boundary cession treaties of our land that they're dealing with occupying European sovereigns. United States is obligated. United States is obligated by those treaties with those European conquering powers and law nation to maintain European conquest, because those Spanish land grants were granted. They took our land and they granted large portion of our land to these Spaniards on our land. United States is obligated by the Treaty of Guadalupe with Mexico. The United States of Mexico became the custodial care of the Spanish land grants that Spain granted in 15 and 16 and 1700. United States is obligated by the treaties, by that Guadalupe Treaty. It was now that responsibility was ceded down to the United States. There are Spanish land grant cases. United States is obligated to protect the personal rights. Let me give you this. People versus Godfrey. People versus Godfrey. This is the 1819 GODF F-E-Y. No, F-R-E-Y. G-O-D-F-R-E-Y. People versus Godfrey, 1819, New York State Supreme Court case. What's the issue? In the case, they go to the issue of custody, chain of custody, where Great Britain defeated France in that war, 7-year war, from 1754 to 1763. France ceded the Northwest Territory, which included now Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Minnesota, all right, and Ohio, Indiana. So, and also they ceded Canada. Great Britain made a deal with Spain to have France cede the Louisiana Territory to Spain through the Treaty of Fontainebleau of 1762. Now, this ties to the Treaty of Utrecht. The Treaty of Utrecht, Utrecht, of 1713. This all ties in. The Treaty of Utrecht, where that ended the War of Spanish Succession in 1713. These European powers made an agreement among themselves to not take land from each other without a treaty. In that 1763 treaty between France and Great Britain, there, Article 2 of that treaty, there are 17 treaties that are listed. Article 2 of the peace treaty between France and Great Britain in 1763. There are 17 treaties that are listed as the foundation of that instrument. And guess what? The Treaty of Utrecht and the other series of treaties that tied to the Treaty of Utrecht are listed among the 17. So the United States is obligated to maintain European conquest, meaning to maintain the protection of the personal interest came by virtue of the Spanish land grant, French land grant. Are you aware that in New Orleans, French civil law is applied in New Orleans? Why? Because the French letters of patent, the French personal interest, French land grants that were granted to the French subjects were governed under the French civil law. They was granted under French civil law. So in United States courts, in those state courts, that Louisiana French civil law is applied. You have the 1686. King Charles II of England granted a land patent to Thomas Dungan. Thomas Dungan was the governor of the province of New York in the 1600s, late 1600s, early 1700s. He granted land patents. Their cases, those are personal interests. United States is obligated to maintain the personal interests of these Spanish land grants, French letters of patent, English letters of patent, William Penn's Charter, which is a personal right. We have to understand what the United States is. The United States is a continuation arm of Spanish, Dutch, French, English, and Portugal colonization and conquest of our land. We're approaching the United States as some country or whatever. United States is a conquering power. United States came about through English, French, Spanish, Dutch conquest and colonization. And People versus Godfrey. Let me go back to People versus Godfrey. The issue was who had territorial jurisdiction over the case. The case was a army soldier killed on his way to the barrack, had an army soldier as a prisoner. He killed the army soldier with the bayonet on the way to the barracks on a United States military base. Now the issue, New York State claimed to have jurisdiction to hear the case. So People versus Godfrey is not about the case itself. of adjudicating the case of who killed, of the soldier. It was first who had jurisdiction to hear the case. United States, the federal courts, federal government claimed to have jurisdiction over the case based on the United States Constitution, Article 8, Article 5, Section 8, Clause 17. Right. That's what they're saying. That's what they're claiming. They're claiming to have jurisdiction over to hear the case based on that. Guess what New York State said? Nah. Let's go to the 1783 Definitive Peace Treaty between Great Britain and the United States. Article 1. His Britannic Majesty. We link acknowledges United States as free as United States viz. United States viz means namely. V-I-Z means namely. All 13 are named as free, sovereign, and independent states, and he cheats with them. So in the People versus Godfrey, United States did not acquire any territory rights through that treaty. It was New York. So New York State won the case based on the fact that New York State had territorial jurisdiction based on the not no United States Constitution. Why? Remember, the federal used the United States Constitution. The federal level used the United States Constitution. Article 5, Clause 8, Section 17. The federal level used the United States Constitution. Yes, it was a military base. Yes, it was a United States military base, but it's where the base is. It's in the territorial jurisdiction that was relinquished to New York State via Article 1 of the 17th Definitive Peace Treaty. These things are alive and well. So what I'm saying, let's go back again. We're talking about current. This is current. Because this is how they're operating. This is where the divide, New York State claimed the divide authority to have territorial jurisdiction based on the treaty with Great Britain. They didn't say no United States Constitution. They didn't say the Constitution of New York State. They didn't say the Declaration of Independence. They didn't say the Articles of Confederation. They didn't say the Articles of Association. They said the 1783 Treaty of Paris between Great Britain and the United States. People versus Godfrey, 1819, New York State Supreme Court case. So once again, the past, we're talking past, but that's how they're operating. To know how they're operating and what they're obligated to, you got to go to the past because they're operating on. You have. Let me give you another one. Foster versus Nielsen, and we're going to have Foster versus Nielsen and United States versus Thompson. And Foster versus Nielsen, the Spanish treaty between the United States, the 1819 Spanish treaty between Spain and the United States was read. The English version was used in the Foster versus Nielsen. The case was revisited in United States versus Thompson, where in Foster versus Nielsen, they failed to use the international principles of the canons, the international principles of the canons of interpretation. They used the English version of the treaty in Foster versus Nielsen, but in United States versus Thompson, they used the Spanish version, which renders a different interpretation. I'm talking past. We're talking current.
And it's interesting you were talking about land grants and patents and stuff. And I was just out in Arizona, and I was shuffling through the papers that I received when I was there. And this is of the Moor that was able to get, the land. I have copies of the land patents. I saw the originals. And it's interesting that, and the last page actually has goes all the way back to Woodrow Wilson.
All right.
And
in what zone though? Well, you said go. All right. You said it goes back
land district, and this thing is the United States of America. It actually, it gives the patent number, and it talks about just the first part. Whereas by the Act of Congress approved July 27, 1866, 14 Statute 292 entitled an act granting lands to aid in the construction of a railroad and telegraph lines from the states of Missouri and Arkansas to the Pacific coast. There was granted to the Atlantic and Pacific Railroad Company its successors and assigns for the purpose of aiding in the construction of said railroad and telegraph lines to the Pacific coast. Every alternate section of public land, not mineral, designated by odd numbers to the amount of 20 alternative sections per mile. It goes on and on. But anyway, this brother was able to get a whole bunch of this, these are the actual signed by the county, Maricopa County, and so forth. The quitclaim deed, and they actually granted them all of the patents that they requested to the tune of hundreds of acres of land in that area of Arizona, and some maybe even outside of it. So I was able to, Brother Amir gave me copies of the land patents. So it seems like even though they took for whatever reason, they granted it to other folks, now they're if you ask for it and can prove who you are as a Moor, they're giving it back. But people are not going after it. Now, that probably wouldn't be as easy in some, what you would call it, incorporated areas, quote unquote, as it is, they'll give you of the acres and acres of unincorporated lands, I guess, because they don't have anything there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But the places that have been incorporated, so to speak, I don't know what that means, but it's just interesting that we just don't know these things. We they have it in their records, and like you said, it's by treaty. They're using the various some treaties to operate on, but these are treaties that, for the most part, folks are not aware of. We didn't get civics. We didn't get this teaching when we should have gotten this stuff, like you said, what an 8th grader should know. We didn't get that. So, I guess my question to you and I know you can't answer, we're already over the 2-hour point, and you're going to have to come back and do a part 2. But, just food for thought, with this knowledge, what is it that you hope to bring about as far as a change in the mentality and the actions of the Moors?
All right. Let's look at once again the 1968 case. 1968 in case with the Ceylon and restoring Ceylon's sovereignty. Ceylon was tagged as a new state. So Ceylon, the representative of Ceylon, pointed to a pre-existing sovereignty. So we examine the 1952 case where France stood on old Moorish treaties to make her claim. So what do I hope? To that various Moorish body politics study groups come together to facilitate to a national provisional Moorish government. It could not be permanent. We could not, because without the millions of our people being conscious, you could not set up a permanent government, Moorish government, or restore that permanent. It would have to be provisional, meaning temporary, so that we can honor the principles of political legitimacy, that we can honor the consent of our people. So we don't need all our people to address European mass denationalization, European conquest, European, subjugation of our land and subjugation of our people. So we need a competent. So we have here the Shem have a proposal and a plan to facilitate the restoration and the restoration of Moorish national political unity. It has to be first in a provisional. There's conscious Moors or claiming to have restored or recovered the lost Moorish sovereignty. Like they're claiming to have a Moorish state, which means that you have a military, that you have that which to protect yourself. That means you're not recalling no United States anything. if you're claiming to, because to have a Moorish state, that means you recovered the lost Moorish sovereignty, and that is not the case. European conquest and subjugation is still alive and well. These Spanish land grants, these French land grants, these French leather patents, these English. I've mentioned that the 1686. There are several cases based on the Thomas Duncan land patent that was granted by King Charles II in 1686. There are cases like that. Multiple cases in Southampton, New York, and various other parts of New York. So that we have not recovered our lost Moorish sovereignty. So this meaning that is a false sense of security, a false sense of security. That meaning recover our lost Moorish sovereignty, the United States doesn't exist no more. No. Let's talk real. Let's just talk. They said to recover. All right. That means they say, well, this is a Moorish state in Colorado. That means Colorado state doesn't exist no more. Atlanta doesn't exist no more. That's the British zone. Michigan doesn't exist no more. Where's the army? Where's the military base? Where's the army? You said state. You said you have a Moorish state. What I'm saying is that that's a false sense of security. They don't understand the recovery of lost sovereignty. When you're talking the recovery of lost sovereignty, you're talking what? Transferring the power. I mean, that meaning Colorado no longer is in power. They're transferring the power back. They don't exist no more. They don't know what. So they're going around bantering that they got some national Moorish government, national Moorish state. Nationality Bey, Abdullah Bey doesn't know what they're talking about, because we're pushing for community outreach, community education, facilitating political legitimacy, organizing the various Moorish body politics into a national Moorish governing body to address the European. Meaning European conquest is still alive and well. All right. Dr. Naila, read that land patent again. This is evidence. This evidence that European power is still alive and well. That was signed by who?
Woodrow Wilson.
Wilson. Not by a Moorish power. Hold on. Signed by a European conquering power that came about through conquest. A European United States, a European president of a European conquering power signed what?
Let me just read that at the end of it. It says, now at the end, now know ye that the United States, in all caps, of America, in consideration of the premises and pursuant to said act of Congress, has given and granted by these presents, does give and grant unto the said Atlantic Pacific Railroad Company and to its assigns all tracts of land listed as aforesaid and described in the foregoing, to have and to hold the said tracts with the appurtenances thereof unto the said Atlantic Pacific Railroad Company and to its successors assigns forever.
But who's granting it?
Would the United States?
That's what I'm saying. All right. You read all that, but let's go. Who's granting? What power is granting it?
Allegedly, the United States of America.
Well, it's not allegedly, because it's President Woodrow Wilson. He's president of the United States. So what is the United States of America? Who's granting it though? So the power to grant is also the power to what? All right, hold on. Let's back up, Dr. Naila. King George, King New York, Virginia Company was granted this, so that you know what I'm talking about. The Virginia Company was granted a company charter by the British Crown. Part of that was removed by the British Crown. The British Crown granted the power to grant. All right.
Okay.
You acknowledge the United States as having the power to grant. What are you also acknowledging? Talk to me. King, the British Crown granted what? The British Crown granted charter to Virginia Company.
Right.
The British Crown removed some of that. The British Crown removed the power to grant. Is the also you're acknowledging that they also have the power to what? Take it away.
Anyway, yeah. Well, he did. They're doing it.
No, I'm saying all right. All right. I want the listeners to hear this because you read that and grant and they get all they get all excited and all that, which is and not looking because they don't know sovereignty. That means you're acknowledging the United States as the power. You're acknowledging the United States as the sovereign power. By you acknowledging the United States as the sovereign power, you're also acknowledging the United States the power to take it from you.
Right.
It says grant. I just want Dr. Naila, I don't need to read it. Dr. Naila, I only need to read the first line.
Mm-hmm.
All right, somebody who goes read all that. They read all that. They read all that page after page after page. All right. After they read all those pages, 100 pages. What am I going to do? I'm going to go right to the top part. I ain't going to read all the 100 pages. I don't need to. I'm going right to the top part.
Top and you get the last paragraph. It tells it all.
So who's the power that's granting it? And understand that. So you're recognizing them as the sovereigns of the land, which they're not. That's a conquering power.
It's not theirs. It's not theirs to grant.
Thank you, Dr. Naila. You got it. Case closed. I ain't gotta say anything else. All right. We'll go right to the end. So yes.
Yeah. And somebody was asking about getting your books. I'm running it under the banner under so that you will see that if you go right to moorsandmasonry.org, that's where they can order your books. Am I correct?
Yes. moorsandmasonry.org.
Yeah.
I'm going to just go back to the top. Oh no. Oh, what am I doing? I'm going to go back to the top. See, I'm going back. What am I doing? Going to the top. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Where?
To the first page. All right, so yeah, they go to Moors and Masonry. Just want to reiterate what I talked about at the beginning. It should be there. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, good. Ooh. All right, so we have here our book Moors and Masonry. All right, so we have moorsandmasonry.org, as you mentioned, and these are the books. All right, see the books here. And then we have here the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. Moroccan Post Media, so Moroccan Post School for Government International. These are free classes. Moorish Body Politic Formation, Constitution, Government Principle course, 12 classes. Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations 101 course, and to 10 classes. And Moorish Treaty Protection and Consular Relations 201, 5 classes. This is a seminar. Do the United States courts have the lawful treaty authority to hear Moorish cases, part 1, 2, and 3. All right. So keep in mind that Arizona is a Spanish zone. We're talking conquest.
Okay.
So the power to grant is also the power to what? Because you're acknowledging them as a sovereign of the land. Because they're granting land, and you say you got this land patent, you're recognizing them as the sovereigns of the land. I mean, so you're abdicating your sovereignty. to an occupying power that knocked our people over the head. Upcoming Moorish Unity Conference, May 18, 2024, Philadelphia. Moorish Governance and Birthright Nationality Claim Conference will have tickets. Information will be forthcoming. The prices of tickets and how to get tickets will be forthcoming. All right. So this is a conference. All right. Dr. Naila, hopefully you can be in the house. This is in Philadelphia, May 18th, 2024.
All right.
Saturday, May 18th.
Okay. Well, I think this has been a good start.
Oh yeah.
We need to
the
go
type
further.
Of people that's gonna be there. We're gonna have some diplomats. Gonna have from one of the kingdoms of Africa. Some of the United Nations connections. All right, they'll be there. Yeah, so these will be the type of people that'll be there on this level. So this we looking to really be make headway with this conference. All right.
Okay. All right.
All right. So thank you again for having me. And
well, thank you for coming and thank you for sharing. And we will have to take this to the next level. We don't because there's more to build on. And I'm sure there's more discussion to be had. There's some folks that probably will not totally agree with everything that anybody says. So but we can agree to disagree, and we can bring whatever parts that we bring that we have of knowledge, and scholarship. And that's important. The scholarship portion is so important to in this day and time. We can't afford to just have people going off of the top of their heads and off of what they feel and what they think and what they believe. It's gotta be based on what at this stage. Yeah, it's gotta be what's known and what's tried and true. So but I thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Terrence, in the background. Appreciate you both. And we will do this again. Y'all, we thank you so much for staying on past the 2 hour point. But we could probably go for another 2 hours to really try to get this in. But we will come back.
We keep it at that. Yeah, we'll come back.
We'll come back at another time. So
all right.
We want to thank you. Thank you so much. And so I'm gonna leave out here. Y'all folks take a snapshot of this of the super patch and reach out to our brother Abdullah. Here's his information at the bottom. If you want to know what super patch is, you need to scan this QR code and get back to Dr. G, because it's actually doing a lot of good for a lot of folks. And we thank you. I will see you next Tuesday, y'all. I will be back at around 8 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday. And hopefully with our Consul General, Maurice L. on next Tuesday at 8 p.m. And I thank you as usual for tuning in and for your participation in the chat. Until next week, it's Dr. G. I'm out of here. Dr. G. Really? Oh, shit. Yeah, that's me. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's me. Dr. G. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me.